Well, good evening, folks. Give everyone a few minutes here. I haven't been doing much online lately. It's been kind of a slow summer. I've decided to watch my bees. Uh, hey, Bob. And take care of them this year instead of creating a lot of video content. I found it kind of got in the way of taking care of my bees last year. Haven't found that good medium there where I can do both real well. So I decided this year to spend more time taking care of the bees and less time with the camera while I'm out there. That's why you haven't seen me online a whole lot this year out in the bee yard. The horizontal hive is doing real well. That's the one I had one package this year. I put it in my horizontal hive. It's doing real well. It's a little over half full. And I've taken probably at least 5, maybe 6 frames of brood out of there for other hives. So it's still, like I say, and it's still half full. So it's doing really, really well. I will have to film that when I get a chance. And we've got a few folks on here. And I'll probably thank him again, but I do want to thank Lee for engineering, being my engineer today. I know he's not feeling real well. He's a little under the weather. So thank you a lot, Lee, for doing this. I appreciate it a lot. Hey, Bob. I have recently, let me see if I can't present here. Share screen. This is what I used to have here, internet speed, until recently. You notice right here that my upload, yes, that is a 10.2. That is all I had on my upload. Now let's go to, we're going to actually do a live test right now. I just got fiber optics here. So I just got fiber put in at the house here, ditched a cable and got fiber. So this is what I'm reading right now. You can see already the difference in the upload. Well, of course, the download is twice as fast. But here I've gone from 10 to well over 300. So my uploads here should be a little bit better here. Going from 10 to over 300. So I'm a little happy about that. So hopefully my streaming here will be a little bit better. Trying to kill a little bit of time here. I haven't been online forever here. Haven't done a live since February. Haven't even been on, I don't think with what, Bob and Lee there for maybe March, April, probably March. I just, like I say, I just haven't done a lot of online lately. I watch from the back seats, but just haven't been online. But like I say, the bees are doing good. The weather stinks, though. I've got to pull my honey here real soon. I've been procrastinating. It rains one day, and then the next day the weather's decent, but the humidity is just so high, you just do not want to be outside. It's just miserable. You do not want to throw on that suit and be out there in bee yard. I've got one hive that have really packed on the honey, but it's my meanest hive. I mean, these bees are mean. They're a hive that a swarm I captured real early in the season, and they are spicy. I'm going to requeen them later this summer. But for now, like I say, I've got to pick a day and just do it. I just need to go out there and pull the supers off of them and do it. I just hate getting in that. You know, everyone has that hive, or a lot of folks have that hive where you just do not want to get in that hive. You hate messing with the hive. They're doing fine otherwise, but you just do not want to get in that hive because they're just mean. They're just mean. The other hives I can deal with just fine. They're just normal bees, but this hive, the folks I got the swarm from, they have bees in the side of their house. They've had them there for years, and they don't mind having bees in their house. But they throw off a swarm every year, and someone comes and gets the swarm. And they each got stung, and I got stung capturing the swarm. And they said this is the first time that they had ever gotten stung by their bees, ever. So that's how mean these bees are. So, but like I say, I'll take care of them. I'll requeen them later this year. What do we got here? We've got a few people logged in here. Hey, 33 Mile. So your package arrived last week. I was thinking about bringing Andrew in, but I think he disappeared on me in the back room. He was eating dinner, so are you there, Andrew? No? I want to introduce a gentleman here. This is who you've actually come to see. You didn't come to see me. You came to see Mr. Apis Biologics himself, Mr. Andrew Munn. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing well. Tim, how are you?
How's the weather in the way up north there?
It is hot and humid right now. We've been experiencing some serious rain here for the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's uncharacteristic. Like, we usually have wet springs, but this has been a pretty soggy entry to summer here.
And how will that affect your bees up there?
Well, I mean, everything should be okay. I mean, you know, torrential rains is not good for pollen. It's not good for nectar. Obviously, the bees need flight. And then you get the nectar all knocked off and you get the pollen all knocked off by hard rain. So consistent rain, the way it has been, is not ideal, but I think we're going to be okay. I don't think it's going to be devastating to the crop.
Now, when you say hot, what do you call hot?
Not what you call hot, but yeah. We were about 27 Celsius today.
I'm sorry about that. That's my driveway sensor. Turn it off. Okay, I got my driveway sensor turned off. I won't bother.
You in the garage, Tim?
Pardon?
You in the garage?
I'm in my shop.
Okay. Very good.
So you say 20 what did you say?
27 Celsius.
20. What is that? Lee, you're good at all that real quick. 80. Okay, that's around 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's warm, yeah. Yeah, it's the humidity here. It's been the 80s here too. It's just the humidity has been. You just don't want to go out. You know, you put on that bee suit and it's just miserable.
Yeah, that's what we're dealing with as well. 27, you know, can feel comfortable under the right relative humidity, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, we've got a forum here anyhow. I know we've got folks from a good selection of folks from different areas here. Um, I want to talk a little bit about Apis Biologics here, but I want to do it from a different perspective here, if you don't mind.
I'm yours. I'm yours for the next half hour or so, Tim. You fire away.
I'll set my stopwatch. Let's pretend I have no idea who Ian is, that little backyard beekeeper from the North Pole. I have no idea who Cayman Reynolds is, that little hick from Tennessee. I have no idea who these people are, and their recommendation of you. So you tell me about Apis Biologics. I could be a beginner beekeeper with 2 hives. I could be a sideliner with 50 hives. Tell me what Apis is and exactly what it's going to do for the bees I keep.
So, who or what is Apis Biologics? That's a good question, and I think I would answer that, Tim, by saying that I really don't even view Apis Biologics myself personally, like my view of who I am and what I'm trying to do in the space of beekeeping. I don't even really view excuse me, us as a company per se. We are obviously a company. I made a decision. Apis Biologics has been the name of my apiary since I started keeping bees. About a year after I started keeping bees, that was the name that I chose for my apiary. So that's kind of where the name originated. The Apis Biologics that people know, people that haven't kept bees with me or been in that circle, is the nutritional supplement Apis Biologics. Now, where that came from, historically, I've always been interested in human biochemistry and human physiology and human optimization through nutritional inputs. And, there's some folks, refer to that space as biohacking, or, there's a few terms for it, but essentially it's just trying to understand what nutritional inputs are required to make us, perform optimally. So I've always been interested in that from a very early age. So when I started keeping bees, it was a fairly natural thing for me to start to dig into the detail about the nutritional requirements of the honeybee. And I did start to do that early on. And it was pretty apparent to me, based on what I was coming up with from the entomology and the botany texts, that the current supplemental feeds, or what I had available to me off the shelf, we were missing the mark. Like, there was just big gaps and holes and things, like whole profiles of nutrients and compounds that weren't even being discussed at a commercially available level, let alone being addressed in the formulations. I started to pollinate commercially with my bees, and I started to see the ravages that business model with bees can produce in your apiary. It's pretty rough. Like, it's tough on the bees. They were coming back in pretty rough shape consistently. And, I knew that I needed more leverage. I needed more tools in my toolkit if I was going to do it successfully as a sideliner. So I got to work and I started to kind of formulate my own feeds from scratch, like whole pollen substitutes from scratch. We don't do that commercially. The logistics involved there, and the machinery and the equipment, it's much more viable, and I think, and much more useful to the industry for us to be the powdered formulations that we are, so other manufacturers can leverage the infrastructure that they have to get our nutrient profiles out to more beekeepers. The shipping is just better that way. The whole model just works better that way. But that's kind of who we are and how we've gotten to where we are. We have close to a decade of working on these nutrient profiles. Some work, you'd mentioned a few guys there that we've done a little bit of R&D with. Cayman, I'm just starting to get to know Cayman. He's a really good guy. Kind of met him through the Hive Life conference. We've done some work with Ian. We continue to do work with Ian. He's a great beekeeper. I mean, there's a reason everybody watches and kind of hangs on to his thread. He knows his business well, and we like working with Ian, and we'll continue to do so as long as they'll have us anyway. I didn't answer your second question. So that's kind of who we are and kind of where we came from. So what can it do for beekeepers, or what are we trying to do for beekeepers, I think was the second part of that question.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So I guess in a nutshell, it's really, I'm trying to, again, I don't really view myself or us as a company. I would say that we are the results of an ongoing project. And I'm trying to do for beekeepers what I was trying to do for myself, to trying to complete that nutrient profile, to put some functional tools in people's kit to help them get a little bit more resiliency out of their apiary. So we're a little bit unique in that we have taken essentially a zero marketing approach, and I don't make any claims of efficacy, or I don't like to tell people that, you know, these formulations are going to solve all of your beekeeping problems. And I don't know if that's the best business strategy or if it's a horrible business strategy, but it's an honest one. I want to be, my philosophy from day one, close to about a year and a half ago, when I said, okay, I had enough interest coming in from emails and you know, private messages, people asking me, you know, am I going to make this stuff, you know, commercially available? The volume and intensity of those inquiries got to a point where I said, you know what, it probably makes sense to let people try this stuff out and let people have access to it. But my intention from day one wasn't to be a salesman, because I'm really not that. I want to stick to what I know, and that's R&D. I have an act or a couple of screws loose, either way you want to look at it, but I do like to dig through the journals. I do like to read entomology, you know, white papers and textbooks and that kind of thing, and stay up on, you know, I guess the latest research, not just from an entomology perspective, but more so, like where we dug in hard was the botany literature. And that's really where I feel like we've kind of not so much gone astray, but just have left holes in our artificial feed formulations to date with honeybees, is that nectar is very complex, pollen is very complex. And the people who know the complexities from a scientific perspective, the community who knows those complexities best, are the botanists. It's not the entomologists. You know, I love reading entomology papers and textbooks because we need to know the biology and physiology of honeybees. But if you want to know how to replace or make an artificial, you know, simulation feed for nectar and pollen, you're not going to find that following entomologists. You're going to find that in the botany literature. So that's kind of our approach, and that's kind of what our angle is in this space. Is that I don't want to tell anybody that we're, you know, if you feed Apis Biologix that you're never going to have any problems in your apiary. That's not the case. Managing livestock, historically, honeybees are a little bit unique in livestock management in that every other managed livestock we've been able to formulate complete feed rations where those livestock, the livestock manager or the farmer, can feed those nutritional inputs and rear successfully, very successfully, multiple generations of that species. We haven't gotten to that place with honeybees, and in large part due to some misguided efforts, I think, but mostly it's because of the complexities of their diet. Like nectar is, again, it's very complicated. There's a lot of chemistry going on there, and pollen as well. There's, you know, over 250, depending on whose numbers you look at, but plus or minus about 250 different, you know, bioactive compounds have been identified in pollen. So that's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to figure out there. Yeah, I would kind of turn it back over to you there, Tim, and just kind of say that's kind of who we are. And generally speaking, what we're trying to do is we're trying to provide functional nutritional tools for beekeepers to use to make beekeeping easier and better, to, I guess, inject a little bit of resiliency in the apiary.
Okay, thanks. If we could break this down to, say, the products. Right here, I've got a packet of the Bio-Control, one of your main products right here. Right there. Okay, now this product here, we use in our sugar syrup. We're coming up. I don't know about where you're at, but here in the States, we're coming up on our dearth period here in the States. We'll be feeding a lot of sugar water to our bees and adding this to the sugar water. What is this doing for the bees versus just giving them sugar water?
Well, again, what we've tried to do is we've tried to mimic the nutritional inputs that a nectar flow would be providing. And to understand the significance of that, you really do have to spend some time in the entomology research publications. The amino acid profile of floral nectar, although we wouldn't call it a major source, the vitamin concentrations or profiles in nectar and the phytochemical composition of floral nectar, these compounds aren't in there in like massive concentrations and high concentrations. But what's important to remember, and it's often referred to that way as trace, concentrations of amino acids or trace concentrations of phytochemicals. But what's important to note, and I would encourage anybody listening right now to just kind of familiarize yourself with this concept, because it's important when we're thinking about honeybees. When you're talking about dosages for, let's use proline, that's commonly talked about when we're talking about Bio-Control and Bio-Activator, because to my knowledge, I think we're the first company that's bringing attention to the biological significance of proline to the honey, and the fact that it is the dominant amino acid in nectar, it is the dominant amino acid in floral pollen, and to date, that hasn't been addressed in artificial feed formulation. So that's one element that we're trying to address and just kind of move that discussion forward. But when we're talking about these elements in nectar being trace, it's important to frame that up with the concept of allometric scaling. And what that means, or what that represents, when we're talking about the dose of, we'll use proline as an example, required by the human body. There's different physiological needs, different essential and non-essential amino acids depending on species, but just set all that complexity aside. Let's just say the size of the human body would require X amount of a given amino acid to complete its biological functions over a predetermined period of time. Based on the size of that organism, based on the metabolism and all of those factors. As you scale down the size of that organism, the biological requirements become less, obviously, because there's less biological organism to meet the needs of. I wouldn't call it a complicated equation, but there's an equation where you can, it's based on surface area and a few other variable inputs, but you can walk back through allometric scaling, or you can scale up allometric scaling to understand what the appropriate biological dose of a given molecule would be for that organism based on its size and its metabolic rate and some other factors. So when you hear people talk about, amino acids are only in floral nectar in trace amounts, or they're only in, the vitamin or the phytochemical composition of nectar, trace amounts. Trace amounts to what organism? Biologically insignificant to an organism with the surface area of a human, probably, but biologically insignificant to an organism with the surface area of a honeybee? No. No, they're not. Those are meaningful concentrations. There's no mistakes in nature. Those concentrations are there because they're biologically required by the organisms that feed on them. It's a perfect balance between the pollinators and the plants that they rely on for their nutritional inputs.
So what did it take by the time you started working on something like the Bio-Control until I have this packet in my hand with instructions on dosage? How much research went into that? How much time did you spend trying to figure out exactly what the bees needed? What did that take?
I think 9 years would be the number there.
9 years.
Yeah. 9 years.
That's impressive.
And full disclosure, we're not done. We're just getting warmed up. The what I would encourage people to do is to keep an eye out on the back of the packages of both Bio-Activator and Bio-Control, because there will be updates to them on an ongoing basis. My spreadsheets are far more interesting than what you're reading on the back of those packages. You're not looking at the totality of the work that we've put into these compositions. But again, we have to kind of move forward incrementally within the regulatory frameworks and get the approvals that we need to. We're dealing with, in some instances, compounds that are very new, from a regulatory approval perspective. So, there's a short term and a medium term. What we were able to launch is, in my view, again, without making any claims, but I can say this with a degree of confidence, what we were able to launch as our initial launch is the most comprehensive nutritional program for honeybees. They're in a category of their own in that regard, but they will become much more interesting over time. We're in constant communication with Health Canada's VHP program, Veterinary Health Products Program, and there's some new updates coming to the Feeds Act in Canada as well. So there's an interesting, I don't know if joint venture is the right word or not, but there's an interesting relationship being formed between Health Canada's VHP Directorate and the CFIA, and we're in direct communication with them to bring really interesting series of updates to these formulations, as well as a couple of new product offerings in the future.
Now, I've heard countless testimonials that after using Control, the brood patterns have picked up significantly. I know you don't guarantee any of this, and there is no way, obviously, to do so. But what would you attribute that to?
From a disease state, like improving brood, the way the brood looks from a disease state, or just improving more brood? Quantity. Yeah, so, well, there's a lot to unpack there, but I think, again, kind of going back to the proline discussion, that's an easy one where people can pull, because if you go to PubMed and you kind of do some cursory searches on the significance of proline, queen fecundity is, kind of right at the top of that research stack. The phytochemical profile that we've been able to incorporate into Bio-Control also has an impact on fecundity. The entire amino acid profile that's in Bio-Control and Bio-Activator, again, are mimicking the floral nectar and floral pollen composition. So in large part, I guess in summary, or 50,000-foot answer to that question, I would say people are making those observations because we're mimicking what nature is providing. And what I'm chasing ultimately, and I'm not going to make any bold claims to say that we're there, because we have a lot of work to do, but what we want to do is we want the first supplementation program, nutritional program for honeybees that allows that however many generations of brood is required in that operation, we want to be able to rear that with artificial feed. That's the goalpost for beekeeping, that we haven't been able to get there, and that's the target for Apis Biologics. So the closer we get to that goalpost, Tim, the more people are going to make those observations.
Okay, so it's a compliment then to your product, you're saying.
So
your product is working.
I didn't, look, I wasn't very graceful in that answer at all, Tim, and I'll try to shoot you straight. And the reason being is that I always dance and try to skirt around the questions that put me in a position where I'm likely to make claims of efficacy, or
sure.
So.
I understand.
Yeah. So again, I don't know if that's a wise business decision for me or a poor one. But what I'm interested in doing is, and we have some interesting dialogue happening right now with a PhD team here at the University of Moncton that has a really interesting skill set with those biochemists. One of them is an immune system specialist on insects, and the other one is a mitochondria specialist, two areas that I have a keen interest in. You probably heard me ramble on about the electron transport chain, and I very much target the molecules in pollen and nectar in these formulations that upregulate or support that electron transport. So we've got some really cool ideas about some joint venture, research that's going to happen. But ultimately, what I'm looking to do is to partner up with guys like that, some sharp PhDs that have the technology in the labs to do this, kick some funding in myself, supply the bees, that kind of thing. Let the results of those publications make the claims for me. Like that's the position that I want to be in.
We look forward to that. Now we've talked about bio-control a bit. Let's talk about the activator here, for the protein and for the pollen patties here. Tell me a little bit about that.
It's really the same discussion as it is with bio-control, except the mimic profile that we're trying to mimic is pollen in that example. If there's anything in particular with the formulation you want me to dig into, just
no. That's okay. So one is just for the nectar and one is for the protein, is what you're telling us.
That's it. Bio-Activator. Again, I apologize. Those names they're not very memorable, and I probably could have picked better names, but they do have some meaning, kind of internally to us. But yeah, Bio-Activator is our attempt to mimic the composition of floral pollen. And to provide that in an easy to implement manner to manufacturers and to other beekeepers who want to try it out. And bio-control is that for nectar.
Okay. Do you want to take questions from the folks today?
As long as they're not expecting good answers, we can do that. Yeah.
Anyone have any questions out there? Just put them in bold text so we can pick them out. And you've got Andrew here. He's on the spot.
I really should stop doing these lives,
Hey, Brian, how you doing tonight? No questions. Maybe we did a good job answering the questions here. No one's asking anything.
Perfect, folks. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. You're making it too easy.
Making your job easy. So do you find that these products help any more for, say, there's a difference in, say, your cold winters? I hear it gets a little cold up north there. Versus, say, the South, the Floridas, the Georgias, the South Carolinas. Do these products work any different in those vast temperature differences?
I think I'd be pretty reserved in giving you a definitive, response to that question, because we're still kind of getting feedback, from the more, southern states. What we were targeting is, cold climate beekeeping, full disclosure. We've got about 1.5 years now of work with, southern beekeepers, and the reports are consistently positive. But again, I can't really say if it's more, beneficial in colder climates or more beneficial. Nutrition is nutrition. I think there's not a lot of variability. Well, there's a ton of variability actually, but nectar by and large, on average, contains the same, type of nutritional inputs in Canada as it does in the States, right? Again, species to species variability,
You answered my next question, was if nectar was going to be any different from one place to another. Okay, you answered that question. Thank you.
So look, yeah, that's a man. There's a lot to unpack there. The answer is yes, absolutely. You can have the same species, just in different soil conditions, different mineral distribution. So the minerals on the planet's surface are not uniformly distributed. We all know that. They run in veins. In some areas, there's high concentrations of minerals that can be toxic to honeybees, being expressed in nectar and pollen because of the soil distribution. So there's a ton of variability there, and I really think that's the value proposition of formulating a complete feed ration that addresses those micronutrient and macronutrient requirements, is because we don't know. There's just so much variability in natural sources. And then you throw on top of that, monocrop sources and pollination. or in cash crop honey events like in Western Canada and regions of the States, it's very easy to develop nutritional deficiencies in honeybees because of what we do with them.
Lee, I'm gonna let you throw those questions up there. I'm obviously hitting the wrong buttons.
How long are the contents good for after opening them? So sealed conditions is 24 months. Again, the thing to remember with these products is that they're very hygroscopic. They like to wick moisture. So again, that's a sealed product, and with the statement on the package is in cool, dry environment. So dry environment by USP, what we're getting at there is low humidity. So if you live in an area that's got higher than 40% average relative humidity, that 2-year shelf life is you may get that, but you may not. So dry conditions, and as soon as you open that, you're relying on the seal of the package. Sometimes, like a package seal is not the same as the factory seal. So I would encourage people to consider it to be like a food item. Like, we don't put preservatives in these products. We could, but we don't, because we don't think there's a biological value proposition there, right? I would say consider it a food item. Is when you open it, use it in a timely manner. Like, don't open it for fall feeding and then save it over for until the spring. Like, purchase what you're going to use in the active season. I guess if you're going to spend the money on these products, you want the freshest, most biologically active molecules you can get. So I would encourage you to just purchase what you're going to use in that active season and not try to store it, once it's been opened. Yeah, there's a bit to unpack there, and that's one of the challenges with beekeeping. The question that I would have for the beekeeper who didn't see any difference, and that's perfectly plausible. I mean, it depends on the starting conditions. It depends on what was it being compared to, and that's really what I would encourage anybody to do. Whether you're going to try our products or you're going to try somebody else's offerings in this space, that you really need to understand if it's going to provide value to your beekeeping. Either take half of a yard, so 20 colonies in a yard of 40, 20 and 20, or if your yards are smaller, 5 and 5, whatever it is, that's a good way to do it. Or 1 yard versus 1 yard, and you really want to set a fairly good time period. Like, if you're looking at a spring buildup period or a month of a spring buildup, there's so much variability. Was it a better than average spring in terms of nectar flow? Was the weather better than normal? Was the weather poorer than normal? Was there less than normal, pollen on average? There's just so many variables when you're trying to flush out, differences in performance with bees, that I would encourage you to have a defined set of population for the control, a defined set for the treatment, and run it over a longer period of time. Like, what we're trying to do in this space isn't so much to beekeepers, if you put this in the spring, you're going to blow the lids off of your hives by May 31st, you're going to make 5 nukes a colony and still produce a honey crop. That's not where we're coming into this space. What we're trying to do is we're trying to help beekeepers meet the basal nutritional requirements of that organism. When you do that, it really doesn't matter what the livestock that you're managing is. What you end up with is a more resilient organism, less likely to succumb to xenobiotic stressors, pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, viral infections, the ability to maintain immune parameters and robustness under stress events. Like, that's where we're coming in at this. Do I believe that Apis Biologics products, when they're fed in tandem, so mimicking a nectar and a pollen flow, produce more bees? Absolutely. And I have multi-year data with large commercial beekeepers to back that statement up. But again, you have to qualify those statements that, I tried it and didn't see a difference. There's a lot to unpack there, right?
Any more questions? No other questions at this time. Anything else you'd like to share with us tonight, Andrew?
I don't have anything top of mind. I just appreciate the invite. It's always good to speak to beekeepers. But look, I'm not a polished presenter or a polished speaker. My skill set in this space isn't communicating outwardly. It's digging through the detail and trying to formulate functional tools. So I'm better at that than I am this.
And what I like is you're a beekeeper too. You have a bee yard, so you are an active beekeeper as well, correct?
Yeah, I was a sideliner, aspiring commercial beekeeper who got so deep into this rabbit hole that ultimately other beekeepers pulled me in this direction. I didn't, I had zero intentions of being a supplemental feed manufacturer. It was commercial beekeeping, and I was trying to make the tools that I needed. But yeah, the beekeeping community kind of pulled me in this direction with the inquiry and interest in what I was doing. But yeah, I consider myself a beekeeper first, Tim, for sure. I don't know. I don't know. What's some of the big events in Louisiana? I'm just getting up to speed on the event circuit in the U.S. and I have a great time every time I go to the States. I love it down there. It's great.
Yeah, they go deep sea fishing evidently every now and then, don't you, Lee?
So interestingly, here a fun fact about this guy. Most people haven't heard for sure. My first career was a commercial fisherman. I used to work on a Class C icebreaker that used to go up north, and yeah, the deep sea fishing is I get it for sure.
I am going to pop up your website, if you don't mind.
Well, it's abysmal, but you can if you want.
Okay.
So maybe on that, Tim, we just engaged a bit of a partnership with a local company here, and I think they're the right fit. They have a good idea of how we want to present ourselves, and I think they can handle the technical information. But we're probably about a month, maybe two, just kind of depending, my schedule, away from launching an updated version of our website that's actually done by a professional instead of me. So a lot more information, a lot of the backstory, a lot of the technical information, supplementary information, like how to use, when to use, why to use, the R&D process going into them.
Okay.
So
Lee beat me to it there.
Yeah, very good. I built this myself, and I apologize to anybody who's landed on this website. It's pretty rough, but I'm calling in some help. That's you.
That's me. Lee, pop over to the next bar over there, that fine distributor dealer. There we go. And scroll down a little bit. Canada is a big place.
It is indeed. There's a lot of open space up here.
Yeah. Okay, you'll see that grayed out area there. I am grayed out. That's a good thing in this case there.
I can pick a different color for you if you'd like to.
No, gray is fine. Gray is fine. If you're in this area at all there and you're wanting to sell the product that Andrew's been talking about, go ahead and click on any of that there. You'll see a contact. Get a hold of me. You get a hold of Andrew. He'll then get a hold of me, and we can definitely set you up. Anything else for Andrew?
One more. Got to have one more question.
Come on. One more question for him here. I guess they had all their questions answered. You're good.
Very good. Very good.
You're good at what you do there, Andrew. You're good at what you do. You've got a fine product, and understand there may be some more products coming out soon. Is that possibly correct?
Well, soon, no. We're going to go through the same. Yeah, so in the pipeline, yeah, absolutely. We're trying to target and these are things that I've been working on in-house for a long time already, but to comfortably market them to other beekeepers, I have a lot of validation steps that need to occur. But there's key problems in beekeeping that I'm looking to provide nutritional solutions for.
Very
I'll kind of leave it at that. A little bit of a spoiler there, but I guess the program employed by Apis Biologics to manage honeybees with nutritional inputs is not complete just yet.
That's good. That's good. We look forward, and it's good that you're taking your time and doing the research required.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not trying to come into this space and make a quick buck, selling people, packages of, whatever, right? We're trying to play the long game here and provide functional tools. We are very much interested in third-party research validation of what we do. And full disclosure, we typically and have historically acquired some third-party validation prior to making anything commercially available. So we'll continue to be careful and methodical. And absolutely, sir. Yeah, I wouldn't miss that event. That was probably, no, not probably. It was the most beekeeping energy that I've experienced. Like in one, I want to experience that again. That was a very very good for me. That kind of rekindled my passion for this space for sure.
It's an intense couple days.
Yeah, a lot to take in. A lot of great people. We met the good folks over at Strong Microbials. I've been in good constant communication with them since then. Great friendships being developed there. Yeah, good people.
FYI, yet this evening, I do have an announcement about a giveaway later. This we'll get to here in just a little bit. Just an FYI. Well, I think that takes care of it, Andrew. I appreciate you coming on here and talking to the folks and telling us what this product's all about.
Yeah, I don't know how well I answered your questions there, Tim, but we can do this anytime. I certainly don't mind.
I'm hold you to that.
Yeah, no, just let me know. Don't mind at all. Eventually, I'll get better at these discussions and might be able to actually provide a meaningful response to a question.
Well, I appreciate it, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Very good, guys. Take care. Thanks for having me on.
I want to bring up, let me bring up something on the screen here. Find it here. Okay, we're back to this here. This is Andrew's site here. And this is kind of special to me here. Loading kind of slow tonight. I'm not sure why. This is my new website. Just got started a week or so ago. You can buy these products right here. Visa, MasterCard, you can Apple Pay, you can Google Pay, PayPal. There's about a zillion different ways to pay with this thing. Right now, and Lee, if you could put this up here somehow, I'm not sure how. There is until Saturday, I've got a coupon, Apis 10. If you use Apis 10 on checkout, it applies to everything except this guy right here, the global patties, which are already marked down. You get 10% off on these products here, and that coupon is good until this actually lowercase a, but that's okay. It should. I think it'll work. If not, let me know. But it's yeah, there you go. Apis 10. You get 10% off. Now, here's the real giveaway. That's just a discount. Here's the real giveaway. The real giveaway is the end of July. Listen closely. The end of July. All the people that purchase, you don't have to use this code for this, but all the people that purchase in the month of July, I'll tell you what, the folks that have purchased the last couple weeks too, there's been some purchases the last couple weeks. I'll include those as well. All the way through the end of July, I am going to randomly pick one of those purchases minus any global patty purchases, and I will refund your purchase. Yes, you heard me correct. Now through the end of July, I will pick one purchase at the end of July, and one of those purchases, I will refund your entire purchase, except for the global patties, of course. But if activator or control, I will refund your entire cost of that purchase. So that's my giveaway announcement. Hey, Steve. Lee, you go ahead and share the link for the. And once again, for those that did not hear earlier, Lee is not on top of his game today. He is under the weather, and he's doing this engineering anyhow. I really, really appreciate it, Lee. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anytime. As long as I'm sitting down, I'm good. It's just the back ain't working. My legs ain't working right.
Get you in a wheelchair and start pushing you around.
I got a walker right over here for right now. But
man, you're way too young for a walker.
Yeah, I'm still going to try to make it back to work tomorrow, though. It took me 33 minutes to stand up out of the bed this morning with help. So, but I'm going to hide the background. Anybody else want to come in? I dropped that link in the comments for you if you want to pin that to the top of your comments, Tim.
Okay. I don't know how to pin it to the top of the comments. So
you have your YouTube page open, like watching the stream on the side?
Yes.
Go down and see where I posted it in the comments there.
I see that.
Click the 3 dots next to it and then click pin comment. There you go. Anybody want to click that, come on in and holler at Tim.
See, this is why we have Lee, to help us all out. He is on everybody's channel, helping everybody out. I am not going to stick around all night. Unlike Bob, and we appreciate you, Bob. Be here for a little while though. If y'all want to chat talk bees, want to talk apis, anything you want to chat about, we can talk here a little bit. Come on in. We can talk a little bit. Like I say, my bees are doing really well out here this year. I'm not filming much out there this year. I'm spending a lot of time just taking care of the bees instead of filming them this year. Trying that out, see how that works. I like being in front of the camera and putting my YouTube videos out, but there's something to be said for just being able to get out there and work the bees without messing with the camera too. That's a lot of extra work. So I think this year I'm doing much better paying attention to the bees, not worrying about the camera. I think it's helping a lot with the bees. Again, I have to learn that coordination to be able to do both well. Okay. Who we got here? Hey, Grammy, how you doing? A few new names here. Old ones. Appreciate y'all stopping by today. I hope you got your questions answered. If not, play it back later, and I think you'll get some interesting information from Andrew. Again, the discount code is playing there at the bottom of the screen, and that's southwestohiobees.com is the website. In case, I guess we don't know if that got flashed up there with the website, but it's you can find it either through the Apis site or, like I say, just type it in directly, southwestohiobees.com. Like I say, every major credit card, your Apple Pay, your Google Pay, pretty much everything, PayPal, whatever you want to pay with. I don't take Bitcoin yet. I decided I really do want to mess with that. So I didn't mess with the Bitcoin, but I really don't think there's a lot of us playing with Bitcoins, going to be paying for things with Bitcoin, so didn't feel that's worthwhile. Okay, well, no one wants to chat tonight. What is it? It's going to be a really early night. I see Bob out there.
I put the wrong thing. I had Matt store for some reason, but that's your website.
Yeah, I see that. I was just trying to figure out what that.
I'll retype that one for you.
Thanks for clarifying. I was confused, but that's not real hard. Get out there. Hey, yeah. There you go. There you got it, Lee. Thanks. Again, you can use that discount code, and that's good just through Sunday of this week for 10% off. And I've got a fly. Okay. Lots of chats tonight. Well, I'm probably going to get off here and let some of those other chats have at it, so I don't share the gaggle of folks I have here tonight. Oh, okay, what do we have here? What was Sour Branch? What was his question? Yeah, Andrew did address that question, and like anything else, it can happen. Obviously, not everyone's going to have 100% success with anything. It doesn't matter what your product you're using. Not everyone's going to have 100% success, and you would need. I think Andrew was kind of leaning toward wanting more information, exactly how it was used, what exactly the application, circumstances, were there other mitigating issues with those bees. So there's a lot there, like you say, to unpack. To say it's too hard to say why it didn't help those bees. And I believe, if I recall from another message, he mentioned that they only used it for 2 weeks. I believe is what he said, and that's really not much time to really do much of anything. Yeah, that's really not much time to. It doesn't matter what product you're using. 2 weeks is not going to do a lot. I don't believe for your bees, for any product. Hey, Paul, how you doing? No, it's not so smoky here right now. It's not been too bad. Of course, we get rain like every other day lately, so storms blow through, so it's keeping the smoke away. But when we do get some sunny days, it gets pretty smoky. Here, you get out on the highway and you can't see the trees and so forth very far in the distance. It gets pretty smoky. Those Canadians. Yeah, I agree. The more testimonials we can get, it's a new product. It's just getting out in the marketplace. To be honest, not a lot of folks have had a lot of time. It's not. Again, it's not something you can try for just a couple weeks and say, "Oh yeah, my bees are really exploding out there." If you try this, if you put this product on your hive for just a few weeks and your hive is exploding, I personally would say that was going to happen anyway. Your hive was doing well, and it was set up to explode anyway. 'Cause just a couple weeks is not, I don't believe, enough to matter for any product. That's my opinion. This is something that I believe takes a season or a period of time, month, 2 months, something like that to take effect. That, again, I'm no chemist, but that's my point of view, at least. I have no illusions that putting this on a hive for a week or two is going to make any difference at all. It's something that's a long term, a seasonal thing. Yes. Now, CC, you put it on early spring. when they're building. And it probably wasn't for a week that you did that, I'm guessing. Any other comments, questions? No one's going to join in today and talk, discuss it. Links up there at the top. Just click it. I know Paul wants to join in, but he's shy. Okay, well, if there's nothing else, I am going to wrap this up. And I am going to join my wife on the couch and find a good movie to watch for the evening. Hope y'all don't mind. I don't mind. Y'all have a good one, okay? Catch me at the website and enter the discount code. Have a great evening.